a building in the finance building of heating. The protagonist is complaining to the boss that he was part of the project, so why would they put his name on it so we can also receive share. However, the damn ball guy says that everything he did belongs to him since in that company he's the boss. Our guy clenches his fist saying that doesn't make sense and leaves the room saying that only a fool continues working in that place. He starts electing all of his belongings from the desk. His friends call him Yan Chen and tell him to calm down, that he has bills to pay, has to take care of his girlfriend, and her father tenderly looks at her photo that he always kept on the desk and leaves, saying that his parents, where they passed away, left the current house if he will work as a driver for a ride hailing out. For now he goes that accompanies parking lot and talks with girlfriend after telling her that he was going to work as a driver for a while. She said she was going to break up with him. She knew he wouldn't be able to give her the way she wanted. Chen tried calling her, for the poor guy's number had already been blocked. Leading on the car, you cried, saying that this day is only getting worse. What kind of misery is this? However, he is a resilient guy and opens a car door, saying he will have to move on with life. There's nothing to do. He makes a foolish face to hide his emotions, and a message arrives saying that a ride 1 kilometer away was found. Immediately accepts about thinking, because you know the she to be fired. Let's go. A while later he arrives where the at marked, but the client says she's still finishing her makeup. Chen angrily curses, asking why she called the Uber if she hasn't even finished for makeup yet. However, she says that if he does isn't wait, you will get that 1-star rating. He chose to hang up, saying he doesn't care about this nonsense, and immediately receives a negative review from the girl saying that he disrespected her. But suddenly he hears a sparkling sound and gets scared. A girl who, while this one never went hungry at any point in her life, she says he was selected to receive the negative review system and asks he wants to accept. Chen is confirm who's asking what this negative review thing is. The well-nourished girl says it's exactly as it sounds. As long as he receives negative reviews, he will get everything he wants. He has nothing to lose anyway, so he accepts right away. And while this system activates in a very interesting way, she advises that besides the negatives, it's good to have some positive to keep getting rights to do, since he just received a complaint. He earns to any 8% of the shares of a certain island group, and he has to go there now to get them. The Seiko just accepts, saying it's a gift and good, so he goes immediately. A ride request arrives asking to go exactly to that island hotel with a black guy. From crying so much, he accepts right away and arrives, saying that he is the girl's driver. He didn't start driving her to the destination. However, as soon as he glanced as in the rearview mirror, she asks why he's staring at her. Embarrassed, he says he was looking at the road and not at her. He needs to do that to drive. And noise, she says that he doesn't know how to drive, is very slow. At this point he speeds up. The girl starts to cry, telling him to calm down, but now it's too late. She tries to hold on and begs him to slow down. He says he will crash since he's in the same car, but if she wants him to slow down, she has to call him daddy. Desperately crying, she complies with that. He breaks, but it was right in front of the island hotel, which was the destination. She gets out trembling, saying he went too far, and that she will even negative review inform the police. Due to the negative review, the system tells him he will receive the heating building. He gets excited immediately since it's the one he used to work at. He then enters the hotel, and right next the receptionist is the girl he brought. She calls him a perverted stalker and asks what he's doing there. However, he just ignores her, saying he has a reservation there too. He shows his phone, and the receptionist confirms that it's table 8. She also has him a document with the share transfer. He walks away with his nose in the air, and the well-nourished girl behind him thinks she judge and Iran, but still will forgive him. The reception brings our boy a coffee, and the well-nourished girl passes by him with an angry face. She greets a guy in front, and he realizes she's on a blind date. At that moment, something catches his attention. A bald man enters with 2 warmer dolls. The blonde girl says she saw someone she knows and tells the bald guy to wait for her there. She then goes to our protagonists, and it says the FIFA already broke up with him, so why is he there? She tells her not to think so highly of herself, because he's not interested in a woman who needs a guy old enough to be her father. She gets angry and gives him a fierce look from behind the ball. Mr. Like cause for her. She turns around, saying she's fine, that he should go to the table. I shall be right there. The bluebird girl is the protagonist's facts, and now the ball. A guy wants to know who he is. He says he's Faith Fee's eggs and asks if the bald guy is the new for. The guy grabs her chin and asks if this is true. That most dishonest girl in China says that actually she broke up with him a long time ago and he's been stalking her. The guy says it's okay, she doesn't need to cry, he will handle this guy. He then tells her boy to stop bothering his girlfriend and turns to the reception asking her to bring a manager. Fei tells our boy that it's better he leaves or he will get into trouble, and the way J girl the next table says he's weird, and now she's curious to see how he will resolve this. The guy the blind date with her asks if she knows that guy, and she says no, he's just the driver who brought her there. She says he was very rude, kept speeding up and almost killed them both. Which is why she left a negative review. The guy gets of angrily saying he will teach the kid a lesson. He walks towards him, and she tells him to wait, but Joan's hair asks the protagonist if he was the one and brought her there. He says yes, and what's the problem? The guy says you were a blind date, and they get better kneel now and apologize, or he will be kicked out of there. Our voices he is very brave and asks who is. A father is. The guy says his father is the president of a group of shares that will invest in this hotel. Jim respond that he's curious to see what they will try to do against him. At that moment someone else approaches. It's a blonde guy sucking up to Mr. Lee, saying they haven't seen each other in a long time. He sees the other guy there and says it's an honor to meet him. It really is his lucky day. Mr. Lee says that his girlfriend's birthday today, but that guy is bothering him. Could me haven't kicked out. The guy says the same. He was offended on his blind date and one in front of there. The blonde says the kid is very bold, asks we is. Then the two look back saying, is that jerk sitting there? But the blonde is shocked because he just came from a meeting where they showed a picture of the protagonists as one of the new shareholders. So be as the security guards to expel the baldy and John. The bald guy says he's crazy because he's the one who delivers food to the place, and John says his father was even going to invest. However, the guy approaches our boy with his nose in the air and says he's the second largest shareholder. Baldy and the two Walmart girls are stunned, and one Jay conclude that he was just driving to experience life, and now it's clear why too. Is so arrogant. Chan asks if they didn't hear or not come on its hind to leave now with tears in her eyes. Faith, he says she was stupid to have broken up with him and doesn't know what to do to get him back. Suddenly she kneels and says she didn't do anything with the old man. The sighs holding his hands. However, the blonde says not to trust the gold digger and claims she's still pure. Our boy just thinks that they're fighting each other. Either the bald guy apologizes, saying that if he had known he was her ex, he would never have done something like that. The already tired of this, he slams his cup on the table and tells the receptionist to get those guys out of there. Ken salutes, saying yes sir, and immediately calls security with that everyone has dragged out except for John, whom the blonde guy says is the son of the investor. However, Chance, as he doesn't care to take him out to without auctions, the blonde guy calls security and tells Jean he's no longer welcome there. John angry says Chanomi has shares in this lousy hotel, he will leave anyway. He turns calling Miss want to go have dinner somewhere else. Chen realizes that if the guy invited the girl even in this situation he's interested in her, so shamelessly he asked if as she wants a blind date with him. He picks a colorful piece of grass and asked if she was have a chat. She thinks that since both are rich, why not choose the more fun handsome one. She approaches and says that since he's being so sincere, she will accept. The guy gets angry saying she's embarrassing him, however quickly changing her to she says he involved himself in the fight, so it's better not to blame her. Jones, as if she humiliates in like this, she will suffer the consequences, but our boy puts a hand on her shoulders, sit her down, and says that if John does anything he will handle it. John goes, intending to punch the protagonists, but our boy stops and midway saying that's not how a gentleman should act. At this point the blonde guy orders Young to be expelled and he has taken out, saying he will call his father. Chin answers wine and says a great have a date with the well-nourished girl. She facts him, saying she will remove the negative review for everything he did. He says there's no need because he likes the negative reviews. They remind him of experiences with that they toast, and the people around are impressed. He outplayed the blonde guy with money. The well-nourished girl quickly gets to the point that matters most to her and asked how his parents make money. He says his pay Aaron's died a long time ago. He just drives for a ride-hailing apps. She made her ham, says she's from the countryside, works in a luxury store, and came to the city to find someone to settle down with. Our boy gets excited, saying there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to depend on a man. He likes it since it shows honesty. She toasts a ring. It's true. She takes a sip and says she treated him badly in the Uber because she was had a guy who tried to kiss her on a date. He says she was only mad because she didn't like the guy. However, she says it doesn't make sense. She would never be with someone on the first date. Now, even a jerk says there's no such rule. If she wants, she can even go for more adult actions on the first date. She says she doesn't believe it. Who dare to kiss on the first date? Chen stands up, walks, or grabs her chin and kisses her. While this guy's bold, the other crazy Chinese guy was, which in this one is Yang Chinman. Seen that show is the name of the brave ones. He leaves, saying he will pay the bill, but you will sleep in Rowan 12. Only the poor girl's in disbelief, wondering why she didn't stop him. However, she wonders why he mentioned the rule number was an imitation in room 12 away, or boy just finished taking a shower when the doorbell rings. When he opens it, it's the same woman from before. He goes to say something, but it's too late. She's already all over him. She looks at him, say it's very hot. He says she's very red and started this. With that he throws her onto the bed. The next day, he wakes up wondering if she's already left on the nightstand. She had left a note saying he was a good doctor to use the money to enjoy a meal at the hotel. The rascal thought she was interesting. Now back of a hating finance building, he goes to a receptionist, saying he came to receive part of the business there. and that his name is Young Chin. The guy, very excited, greeted him saying he was the administrator of that place. The girls were thinking he was too young to be the owner of that. However, a guy came over handing over the paperwork, saying that anything he needed to a system that informed him that the person upstairs had a contract almost ending Young turn, and said they would take a look in the elevator. The employee received a message and explained to the protagonist that unfortunately he had something to resolve today. Our boy said he could go ahead with that. He stood in front of a door labeled Axing Long Finances. It was his former company. Everyone recognized him. As soon as he appeared, a blonde guy, as to he quit and questioned if you need help finding a job again. Thanks. So he wasn't interested in that and just asked Regine, was because he wanted his salary at that moment. The bald guy appeared, telling him to stop shouting, as if it were his house. Yan said he didn't expect the guy to show up and asked about the commission he was owed. The bald guy said that if he wanted their commission, he would have to come back to work there. However, the protagonist mentioned that the contract had nothing like that. Laughing, the bald guy asked where the proof of that was. Young shouted to the company that the proof was in the minds of everyone who'd been through the same situation. The bald guy and questioned the employees if they knew about this so-called 20% commission. Immediately, the first four stood up, saying that unfortunately, yeah, I never heard of it. Young wondered if these people didn't realize they could be in the same situation tomorrow. Another guy then came up to him, telling him to take advantage of the boss's kindness. The bald guy warned him to stop being so sensitive and get back to work, while he explained that it was difficult to keep all the employees. Everyone was kissing his boots. Young then announced that he had recorded the entire conversation and it was shameful. He was making this offer. The bald guy ordered the door to be closed and for someone to grab Bean's phone outside. The guy were handed over the paperwork, wondered if nothing was happening with our boy. The bald guy swore that Young would only leave after deleting all the recordings. He grabbed the meter from the desk and smashed it on the floor, saying everyone saw him destroy it, so now his salary be reduced. However, again call me, said that his recording so ongoing, and explained that his phones and everything to the cloud, so even if they deleted everything he would still have the files. The bluebird guy then said they were teaching a lesson, and when the police arrived it would say he was a thief. At that moment someone started knocking on the door. When the bald guy opened it, he asked why the manager was there. The imager asked why they had locked the door all of a sudden, and if Mr. Young was okay. Confused, the bald guy asked which Mr. Young. Who's talking about? The manager pointed to our boy, saying that was Mr. Young and the boss of the place. He rushed towards the protagonist, asking what was happening. Our Moore responded that everything was fine and that the manager had arrived just in time. Confused, the bald guy asked if this man was really the new boss. The manager explained that the guy and paid 2 billion, so yes, he was the new owner of the place. All the employees were shocked, asking if this was pretending to little poor life. The blue-haired guy approached the manager, saying he was probably being deceived. However, he was scolded with the manager, saying that if he, the manager, didn't know who the boss was, who would? With that, the bald guy or arrest our boy, saying it was all a misunderstanding. He offered to double the salary so they could forget all about it. Hearing this, the manager asked if he really worked there before he then turned the bald guy, warning that the contract stated if the business was dirty they could lose. The Lysian smiled, saying that if that was the case they needed to listen to the recording. The former boss, now desperate, asked if he could please delete it and forget everything that happened. However, Young responded that he wasn't interested and didn't want another cent from that place. He walked out, saying he would let manager Chen handle the situation. However, the bald guy ran in front of him, asked him why he was causing trouble. Getting simply said he wasn't the type to give enemies a chance to survive, and told the guy get out of the way. The former boss, Esan Ago, as she and our boy asked what he had to offer, he then turned to the other employees, announcing that whoever got the phone from Yan would get 50,000, but now that they knew he was the new owner, no. When moved, the bald guy increased it to 100,000 in cash and doubled the salary. Our boy just laughed, saying that in the end, no one respects the words of a lying boss. Children took the phone. It called for hotel security. 10 minutes later, instead of some strong guys, some very strong women arrived. Chen immediately pointed to the bald guy, telling the women to deal with him. There are indeed a few strong security guards in the real sense. The bald guy, sweating bullets, told them to wait. Our boy just laughed, saying it looked like Chen was going to handle everything. He then told the employees to settle their accounts because when this guy declared bankruptcy, no one will get anything. At this point, everyone started talking about the boss's wrongdoings. Even the bluebird guy, who defended him, said the boss had been cutting salaries for no reason. Seeing them berate the boss, or boy thought how quickly people changed. The boss was now leaving with his things where he warned Chin at this, when and well our boy simply said that he had ruined his own a career submission complaint. A while later, he informed the other employees that he would open an marketing agency and asked who wanted to join. The guys were excited, raising your hands, but our boy asked the blue-haired guy if he wasn't the former boss's dog. The guy threw himself against feet, saying he would even go to court against the former boss if Yan accepted him, and said he wouldn't accept him even if he killed the guy. a boss because people like him can't be kept around. He gave him a swift kick to the but sending him away turn into every he had hired. He announced that the new manager was a girl named Suicide, only she was confused, saying she had no experience in that area. He told her she just needed to learn, and she said if that was the case she would do her best. Everyone bowed, thinking the new boss or boy left waving goodbye. Finally, it was time for him to return to his real job. As soon as he got into the car, he received a new ride request. He sped off, saying he was finally going to make some money. When he recognized the girl's a friend from school, she got into the car, saying it was a coincidence to see him there or more, as if that was her boyfriend. She said yes, and told her boyfriend that John was a handsome guy famous at the university. The guy with the chin just asked that you seem popular with the girls. The girlfriend replied yes, say it was very sad he was never single. She asked about his relationship with his ex, and he said they have broken up a while ago. She asked it was a shame they had broken up, and our boy said it didn't matter since it was over. The girl said she had to thank him for humiliating her and rejecting her in front of everyone. Her boyfriend asked with that was about the girl explained that when she was 19 she confessed to the protagonist. However, he not only rejected her, but also humiliated her. Jen said that a long time had passed. He didn't really remember what he said back then. At that moment of her boyfriend offered our boy a job cleaning his company. The ex got excited, saying that job would suit him very well. However, just responded that he was doing fine. I'm working as an Uber driver. When he opened the window, she told him to close it quickly so the air conditioning would work. He said he wasn't really in the mood because they were being rude. Her boyfriend warned that he only hadn't hit him because he was her classmates. At this moment, she told him to be careful because the boy was driving the car and could crash with everyone inside. She then ordered the protagonists to turn on the air conditioning or she'll leave and nag a review. He said he didn't care about the negative review and told her to get out of the car. She didn't want the ride. Her boyfriend angrily told him to stop the car right away. As soon as our boy stopped, the guy got out and kicked his window, telling him to get out of the car. Our boy asked what they thought of the summer weather and sped off, leaving the to hide. The girlfriend was confused, asking where they were. He said it seemed they're really left on a bridge with nowhere to go. She immediately went her phone to leave a negative review. The system informed our boy that he received 2 million for that new review. He was smiling. His son was very pleasant, and he saw that the girl from the car was posting in the university group about everything he had done. He sent a message saying she was lying and then sent an audio recording the whole ride. With that, she was fuming, saying the bastard turned everyone against her. Her boyfriend said it was okay, you killed the guy. As soon as he had a chance, Yeon seemed to have been invited to an event, but said it depended on how he felt that day. When it started to rain, he thought the couple must be having fun on the bridge. He parked somewhere and sent a message saying he was already waiting for person. Apparently whoever it was told him to go out in the rain and pick them up with no choice. Or boy Eroy went out in the rain to meet the woman. She said she couldn't walk to the car because her shoes would get dirty. Our boy said she wasn't disabled to be asking for that kind of thing, however she should or new outfit, and said many people would pay to carry her. Yan insisted, saying he didn't provide that kind of service and told her to walk. She grabbed the umbrella and said he was a real bastard. With that, they both ran to the car. Inside, she warned that he had already made her angry, and she would definitely leave a complaint. As soon as they arrived, he told her she could get out and grab her things. However, once again she said her shoes were dirty and ordered him to drive up the stairs. Young, confused, said that wasn't possible and told her to get out. She picked up her phone and said she leave a negative review if he didn't. Obviously he didn't care, and she said that as long as he didn't take her up the stairs, as she wouldn't get out of the car. With that, he took the key, closed the door, and told her to relax there as long as she wanted. She got out of the car, and he said he was going to get something to eat. Or was the problem soaking wet? She would definitely the complained about him now. However, at that moment he ran back to the car before she realized that he was already inside. He sped off, splashing water on her. A laugh, saying it was funny. She thought she would get special treatment. At that moment the system girl appeared again, congratulating him for receiving another bad review since he had complained about not having tea. The system girl said that's where he would get, leaving him a bit confused. She explained that 20 grams of this tea had sold for 200,000 and one he couldn't even buy it because it was so rare that he Elias, he was going to see something decent. He went to the trunk to see what this item was, knowing that each ticket for that tea was worth more than 10,000. He was already smiling, considering the smell was good and was so expensive. He decided to at least try one of these teas. A system that informed him that due to the series of bad reviews he would receive a house. While he thought that this house would be nice, I think whoever had given that review had that moment. A girl on a black dress approached. Before he could say anything, she got into the car and asked what she thought she was doing. She just handed over the money and told him to drive, saying it would be his. However, Yan said he wasn't a taxi. If you want a ride, she had requested through the app. She was confused, saying that didn't make sense, and ordered him to start driving. A Igon the A phone that approached the car. He knocked on the protagonist's window, telling him to open the door. The girl panicked and begged him not to open it. Asked if she knew the guy, and she said no, you lower the window. It as the guy if he knew the girl. The guy said of course he knew her, because she was his girlfriend. The girl said that was a lie because they had only met once on a blind date. The guy said her father a lot of money should have to pay with her. I called the police saying he was just an Uber driver and had nothing to do with it. She asked why he seemed so calm in this situation and told him to help a little. He said the one who needed to help was her father who put her in this situation, not him. At that moment the guy went to her door and started forcing it open. She grabbed Yan and pleaded for help when he just told her to call the police. She explained that it wouldn't help because as she didn't have the money to pay. The guy said this would just keep happening. At that moment, the guy managed to open the door and grabbed her by the head, holding her chin. He warned Yan that if he opened the window, he would let him participate with that. Our boy turned the key. The got more, and that if he sped off, you will get into trouble. However, our boy just for the pedal, leaving the idiot in the dust. The guy turkey his car key, saying that kid was looking for trouble. Later the girl was thanking him, saying he was an incredible man. He just told to stop praising him because he would drop her off at a hotel, and sure enough to find a taxi. At that moment someone threw a car in front of his. It was the guy from before. Tell him to stop or he would die. A girl terrified begged him to speed up. Our boy pulled off a Tokyo drift and sped off out of even know how, but he managed to lift the other guy's car. She turned around and pressed, saying he was incredible. However, our boy stopped a bus stop and told her to get out. The girl was clearly not right in the head because she said if he wanted to take her home now and do whatever he wanted he could. Our boy wasn't interested and just told her to get out of the car. She got angry, calling him a cow the bastard, but didn't care and left, or cursing at the bus stop. The scene shifts to villain number 1 in binge him. A guy handed over the certificate to our boy, saying he was now the owner of the house. Inside Young said it was good enough interest in his clothes. He received a call from the hotel managers who needed a meeting. He arrived and introduced himself. The shareholders, one of the suited guys all smiles, said he didn't expect him to be so young. Introduced a guy next to him as the president of the Ivan Group, and another guy named Sean Yu, one of the major investors. Hearing about this group of investors caught Yank's attention. The jerk one hauling said enough for the small talk. They needed to discuss what happened between the protagonists and one the guy's sons. A jerk Yu just as the protagonist not to be offended by his son's ignorance. Our boy said he had been too insulted that day to forgive the guy so easily. One on turned to his friend and said he should let it go so they could have a good future. However, the father didn't want to give up, saying his son was just protecting the girl he was dating Yan, as if there was anything more important to discuss. And the chin guy said no. Yan then stood up and say he would make it clear that he wasn't interested in these investments and walked out. As saying he wasn't in the mood to discuss it. John Yu angry asked why this bastard thought so highly of himself and questioned the boss for sucking up to him. One on told him not to worry, saying he would talk to the protagonist later and everything would be fine. As the other man stood up, he asked him to at least try it again. Apology from his son. Our boy was returning to his car for work when someone appeared behind him. As saying they finally found him. It was the guy from the parking lot. Or said it didn't take long. Yan asked have you found him so quickly, and the guy said he told him he wouldn't let him escape with that. Yan asked if you want to fight. The guy said no, he was actually there just destroy his car. They started beating up our boy's car and he stood aside recording everything. The guy said he would have to file this report and it would take at least 6 months for him to get the car back. Just then a red Ferrari appeared, and the girl from before whom he had saved got out. She told the guy she said she would sleep with him that night. So why did he break Gan's car? The guy said he did it because he wanted to ask if you sad for him, calling her a worthless woman for going out. The taxi driver, however, she pointed at him, saying you was lucky you're for oh my owed money, otherwise you wouldn't have dared to talk to someone like him. At that moment the guy from earlier arrived, and as the protagonist if he had offended the young man, explaining that he was there to apologize for everything that happened. Our boy put a hand on his shoulder laughing and asked if the young man's family was rich, to which the guy confirmed Yan as to he knew the guy beating up his car, and he said yes because a family invested in several other companies. Yan said that if that was the case, there was an easy way or his forgiveness. The guy asked how they could do that, and our boy said they could lend 50 million to the girl to pay off debts and everything would be fine. The guy said he didn't make sense since he had invested 3 billion. So why didn't he have that money? Yan pointed to his own car, saying his profession was Uber driver. That guy I asked if he was from a rich family hiding money, and our boy told him to shut up. The guidance said fine, just have someone from her family talk to the investors. At that moment Yan told the girl he had found the solution for her debts. The girl jumped up, giving him a dangerous hug, saying he was amazing. The fool asked why Joan's family was investing in the girl. John explained that Yan was one of the major investors in and hotel, so there was nothing you could do. The guy said it was impossible, because he knew the boy worked as an Uber driver. John asked if he didn't realize what was happening, then he thought he understood. Saying Young was a rich man who liked experiencing the life of a poor person. The whole group got scared, asking the boss if they mess with a rich man's son. The guy pulled a cigarette from the pack win of Tuyan and offered it, so as saying they could be good friends again. But just then the police arrived, asking what crime that occurred there. Why says she called because her friend's car had been destroyed. With that, the guys who had been against the protagonist out turned against her friend. The officer approached and asked why he was beating of people's cars. The guy ignored him and said his name was John Renzi and his father was the president of the Yo group. The officer just as to he was willing to offer compensation. The guy said obviously, but they would have to go for the court process first. The officer told him to stop being an idiot, because if he went to court, he would end up in jail. The guy angrily said his father had power, but the officer said neither of them was above the law, pointing his finger at him, saying it would be worse if his father found out about this. The guys said, fire, as the pre-tax. Just have 100,000 was enough, but now Yan, so he wouldn't accept that payment, and wanted to go to court. The guys at 100,000 was really too little, and offered 200,000 to settle it now. However, Yan said what he wanted wasn't the vehicle, but just as Yan said he didn't care about tarnishing his name since he already had all the inheritance. With that, the police arrested him, saying he would have to go with them at the police state. Then the boy's father came to talk to our protagonist. He asked the protagonist in Enterprise, but Young said he didn't care about that. The father offered 500,000, asking if that would be enough. Young angrily said he had already told him he didn't want money, and asked if he was deaf. The father banged the table, saying a million was enough, and that was the check he brought. Young ignored him, asking the officer if he could leave. When he went to write the report, the father stopped the paper, warning the boy that he was too young to meet his, and like this, Jan just pulled a paper and said he didn't care about that nonsense. He signed the papers and said those threads wouldn't work on, and turned around saying goodbye and told him he'd see him in court. A little later he received another negative review he didn't even know from whom. It's you people took their time to leave made a four. The back, but Yan was excited because it was profitable for him. The system girl gave him a kiss on the cheek, saying what you would receive was a luxury car. He back to work. He was already excited, thinking the girl with the key in handy say he would rest today, because tomorrow would be fun at his house. Anne was sitting comfortably, thinking that life was very cozy. However, some neighbors seemed to be watching from the other side of a girl named Stuart, and Anne was there drinking wine while looking our boy. She asked the maid if they had found out who owned house number 1. The maid explained that they had checked, and it seemed the boy was quite ordinary. With it, Anne was sure he was the son of a billionaire family who liked to keep a low profile. She told the maid to grab 2 expensive wines because they needed to go and meet this person. That night someone ran the door. Young opened it, asking what it was, and the maid, since she worked at Villa number 8, showed a box and saying that our mistress had sent some gifts. Young said it was very kind and asked mistress was the maid. Said the girl's name was Screw You Know, and she wanted to know his name. Our boy said his name was Young Chin and that she was invited come over for dinner back and home. Syrian An asked how it went. The maid said the boy seemed very kind, and definitely from a wealthy family. With that, Syrian An thanked the maid, and told her to go to bed at home. Young looked at the clock. He saw that it was early and thought it would be good to do some rides before bed. With that, you're half to a couple, and told them to get in as soon as the girl got, and she said she needed to be at the university before 10:30. Young said it was impossible to get her deaf. The nation in 20 minutes. The guy beside her asked the protagonists to drive very fast, but in reality he wanted them to be late, so the ref stayed a hotel. Our boy said was fine, and started to speed up. Suddenly the boyfriend said that they weren't there by 10:30, wouldn't pay, and they would have to be brought back. The girlfriend asked why he said those things, and he whispered to her, and he only said them to make the driver speak it up. Yance, it was fine, and if he promised they would get there on time. Suddenly the apps, and he had changed the road and needed to return to the original one. With that, the boyfriend yelled, asking why you wasn't following the GPS. Yon, so he knew a way that would save 5 minutes and guarantee your arrival. The girlfriend was excited in the for wanted to go to the hotel, was disappointed. With that, they arrive at the Destiny Ocean. She ran out, call in the woman from the hotel, and saying she made on time. She turns the protagonists and thanked him. You know, Mr. Boyfriend was still in the back and asked if he wasn't getting out. The guy said he had requested a new ride so he could go to this new destination, but then the app notified that he had received a bad review. Yang knew was this jerk in the backseat. However, with that, the system rewarded him with a calm that technique. Our boy felt like he had gained some kind of superpower. He turned to the guy and asked why he left a bad review. If they arrive on time, the guy told him to shut up and drive. You would explain later. When they arrive in front of the building, he told him to explain. The guy pulled out his phone and called his friends over. Suddenly some guys with bats appeared, ready to destroy the protagonist's car again. Yan asked why. This lunatic was doing something like this, the guy cursed him saying, spent the whole night getting the girl drunk, only for him to ruin his plans. Yan was confused, because it was this boyfriend who got in the car asking him to speed up. The guy said he didn't care, and got out of the car. He kicked the mirror telling him to get out so they could settle this. Yan was thoughtful since he had just received the combat technique, and wouldn't mind testing it as soon as he got out. The thugs admired his courage, and said it would be quick. However, when the fur came running, he told him to wait a moment. The guy lapsing if he kneel and beg for forgiveness, it might go easy on him. Yan just said it would be better if they left because there was a camera recording everyone laugh at and record for, and said it looked like he and accepted his feet. With that, everyone headed toward Anali. Man didn't see anything but bit by the caller and told him to remove the bad review, because it was the first ride for that car. With that, he sped off, leaving the guy standing there. He received a call from the guy's girlfriend asking if he was okay. Our boy explained everything that happened, and told her to break up with him, because he wasn't a good person. With that, you took the call, and she immediately asked why he sent someone to beat him up. The guy angrily asked if she felt sorry for that damn taxi driver. The girlfriend, on the other hand, asked if he was going crazy. The idiot, now tired, this said he knew how to resolve it, and of course, or would receive another bad review. Our boy got the car, saying that in the end it was just another gift, lay down on the bed thinking that the power he received from the system and made him too strong. At that moment, the system gave him another bonus for body strengthening. The next day, our boy went out for a walk and saw someone passing by. He greeted her asking, "Issues, miss you?" She replied that she knew he was Mr. Yang Chen. Politely, he thanked her for the gift, and she said he was welcome. Our boy waved goodbye, saying he had to do his morning workout. She watched him go, thinking he seemed to have good character and came from a great family. That's when Yang had an idea to give her a gift as well. Sometime later, he rang the doorbell. The maid answer. He said he came to return the favor from yesterday. He mentioned that he brought a simple tea and would like to share with them. The maid was curious, asking what kind of tea it was from. A staircase. Syria Yonan came down, saying Yan was very welcome. He apologized for arriving unannounced, and the maid mentioned the tea with a smile, as she said she would boil some water. Then our boy explained that he had to pick up their car, so he wouldn't be able to share it. So descending the stairs, asked what he did for a living, saying goodbye. Our boy, so he worked as an Uber driver. She stood there wondering if he was really wealthy. The maid opened the bag to see what kind of he brought. Both seemed confused and decided to ask a specialist. See the major a bag and left with Sun Yan. No wonder how someone who made a living as an Uber driver could buy the most expensive villa in the place. As always, our boy was off to pick up the next victim, passenger. Wine already, it was waiting for him. Our boy asked if she had called for a taxi. She got in and told him he should buy a sports car instead of driving something like that. Acting crazy, she asked if really eggs look longer when she wore white. He was confused, saying she looked prettier when she was quiet. She felt a bit embarrassed and just told her to buckle up so he could speed up. Sometime later, she invited him to dinner, but our boy said he didn't have time. Yan ancient ever to psychopath if she was a try and get him drunk. The crazy girl responded that she was with that. Yang Chen said he wasn't interested in dinner. Then it convinced why I asked about his sexual orientation, certain it was impossible for anyone to reject her. However, Yan just stopped the car and said they had reached their destination. She got out, saying she was sure he must not like women. On the next ride, our boy saw Skuru being cornered. As he approached, she called out to him, saying she called the taxi, but a guy approached her, saying she couldn't leave until she paid his a free thing. She explained that it wasn't or bicycle at the guy's car. However, he said she wouldn't leave until they resolve it. With that, Yan approached and said there was a camera, so they could you check the footage. The guy pointed at Yan, telling him to mind his own business, but our boy asked if he wasn't ashamed of shouting at a little girl. Suddenly, the guy pulled out of back from nowhere, saying he would smash a car. Yan said if you could afford to pay for the car, he could smash all he wanted. The guy laughed, saying Gain's car was so cheap he could buy 2 days of work. Yan said if that was the case, why didn't he go ahead and smash up? The lunatic started lifting his shirt, saying it seemed really want to trouble. At that moment, the guy who to attack, but then he saw some reading on the car's body. He recognized it and realized that if he hit a he wouldn't have money for the rest of his life. Yum started provoking him, asking why he was hesitating, but now the fool dropped the bat. He turned to our boy and said probably the wind must have knocked over her bikes. If everything was fine, they asked for all this courage had gone. The guy said it was just a joke and nothing had happened. As he could see, Young ignored him and told the girl to get in the car so he could take her to her destination. And the next scene, they had already arrived. The girl, excited, introduced herself as Jolie, and Young kind of ignored her and just told her to go enjoy your time with her classmates. She says she would save his contact to call for other rides. With that, her boy was gone. Thankfully, I was worried the story might try to develop that relationship into something problematic. He went to a restaurant, eat something, and rest when he received him a message from the same girl saying they were forcing her to drink a lot and she wasn't feeling well. Had to go back there. Mealy, he reached the receptionist and said he wanted to check room 302, but someone approached. It was the same guy from before and some friends who apparently gotten the girl drunk. She asked to go home and the girls beside her said they would definitely take her home. However, Young kick on this Habel's edge Jones thought the guy said it was a coincidence, and Young replied it was impressive. He wasn't in jail anymore. John just crossed his arms and told Young to disappear because he was tired of these games. However, Young immediately told him to stay put, and asked if they hadn't drunk the girl to do something wrong. The girl next to them said no, they were just taking her home. However, Young showed the message she had sent him, and asked, what? That was then the fools were embarrassed, realizing he already knew everything. The guy pointed the protagonist, saying he was the girl's boyfriend, so you need to get involved. Yan said that was fine, then you call the police and the doctors, and if they found any drugs it would be incriminated. Jian asked why this bastard was always trying to cause trouble for him. He stormed out saying if that was the case you make Yan life and miserable. To the other girls, kicked the girl, saying it had nothing to do with her. With that, Young turned to the receptionist and asked for a private room for girl to rest in. The room he gave her some water and asked what happened. She explained that when she arrived to give her a drink, but she immediately felt unwell. Young said it was obvious they had put some kind of drug in it. She angrily said they should call the police to handle this. As Young agreed, and they made the call. In the next scene, the girl was being taken to the police station. Sometime later he returned home, and the maid was waiting at the front. He asked why she was there. She replied that I was inviting him for a cup of tea. Our boy said he was very tired because he had several problems that day. The maid said was fine, and he invited them for dinner the next day. When she returned home, Alana asked what happened. She explained that he wouldn't come that day, but he had invited her for dinner. She was excited, saying she would do everything to finally understand who this guy was. The next day our boy was back picking up passengers. A couple banned the car. He told everyone upon their seatbelts. However, the guy took off his shoes, releasing a terrible smell. Young told him to put them back on or he might pass out. The guy with great color hair, so he was just an Uber driver and didn't need all those rules. However, Young warned that if they didn't follow the rules they would have to get out of the car. The guy responded that if he did that you receive a bad review. The girl in the backseat said that even if the guy was sold you should just endure it. Again said he wasn't paid to do that and told them they didn't follow the rules they should get out. With that, the guy across his arms, saying he wasn't getting out of the car. Young guy out, saying that was fine. He went to the guy's window, grabbed him by the arm and threw him to the ground. The girlfriend started screaming, saying there was an assassin in the app. A commotion started, and she pointed at the protagonist, saying he was beating up her boyfriend. Young explained the situation. The people outside were wondering why the guy was doing Uber. There's such an expensive car. The group here guys at the car looked normal until he saw a brand called HT, which I imagine might be a BMW or something similar. The girlfriend asked if it was expensive. He said they might have messed with the wrong person. Gang took his car to get washed and of course receive another bad review. With that, the system girl appeared, saying he received 32% of the shares of another her. Young smiled, saying it was really worth smelling that stinky foot. Sometime later he returned home and saw some shares standing at the door. Young asked what that was about as Yes explained that they were there on orders from Miss Sui, and on with that Young understood and told them they could come in the kitchen. The chefs were impressed because everything in the house was top of the line. However, the head chef warned them to be careful because breaking anything would be disastrous for them, while the cops were talking to each other, saying that this friend of Miss you must be extraordinary. Sometime later dinner was ready and our boy welcomed Sui, and she asked if he was satisfied with the available things. He said he ate this a lot when he was in home 3, and obviously thought this confirms you came from a rich family. She asked what kind of car he liked, and he said sports cars. However, he explained that in his current position you couldn't drive one of those. She imagined he was in some kind of family test to live as a common person and would receive everything in 3 years. She then told him to try the meat he ate, saying it was very tasty. An hour later he was full, and she suggested a walk for digestion. With that, they went for a walk near the villa. Suddenly someone said they had found the bastard. It was John again, saying no one could save him now. Sorry, I know. Pointed at him, asking who they were. Insane, they had no right to be there. Jian said he was handsome and introduced himself as the son of the president of the young group 3, and thought it was the perfect chance to earn some points for Ye Chen. She shouted at the guys again, telling them to leave the neighborhood. John, ever dangerous, said if she didn't get out of the way she'd get hit with a bat. Young thanks John for coming because he deserved a lesson. The fool responded, telling and to stop thinking so highly of himself, and ordered his friends to attack immediately. 3 guys with bats ran toward our protagonist. Young moved swiftly, ducking and punching them all in a second. Befalls were on the ground, and Yuan was stunned, not known how. What he did it. Young walked toward John, who was terrified, and told him not to coming closer. However, Young slapped him on the head, telling him to stop making threats. Joing still defiance, said Young would regret this for the rest in his life. Our protagonist was curious to see how that will happen and started slapping Jane repeatedly. The boy was trembling, begging him to stop. Young just stared at him and told him it was best if he disappeared from that place. Carried by his friends, John was taken away. Right on commented that Young was much more skilled than she had imagined. Embarrassed, he said he learned all from his old master, was a bit rusty. Confident, she is how you deal with your group. Now Young said that for now he couldn't do much about them, but we handle it soon. 9 on saw another chance to gain his favor, and Asda he won over to deal with the Yo group as she had a contact there. Smiling, Young said if she can really do that would be grateful, She said he did need to thank her because friends were for such things. He then invited her to dine at the hotel restaurant where he had recently acquired 32% of the shares which returned home. She told the maid that the boy indeed came from a renowned family and ordered her to start investigations. Asking what was happening, the girl's boyfriend explained that he had said he would pay for everything if you ancient appeared, but unfortunately he still wasn't there. The blonde I said it was embarrassing cause he had come for free meal. The redhead said it was rude to invite to guests like that and then expect them to pay. The girlfriend beat up her boyfriend saying he was embarrassing her in front of her classmates. Her boyfriend said they were her friends. If he wouldn't pay for anyone, then so it appeared. Saying enough with the drama, it was a guy in a suit, and Tayu said everyone should pay for their own meal. He pulled out money saying it wasn't a problem for him, but he didn't know anyone there. The girlfriend and said she wanted to break up because he was too stingy. The guy apparently relieved so he was getting rid of a crazy person as he left. The men in the suit said they should continue their meal to no. That's where the mood he turned to the redhead and said she shouldn't worry because the food was worth it. However, she replied that after paying the bill, she'd have to eat dirt and mud for the rest of the month. The blonde guy made the same complaint. It seemed these Chinese folks were desperate for a free meal. Just then Yang Chen appeared, apologizing for being late due to traffic. The group welcomed him, mentioning there had been some misunderstandings. As to his delay, suddenly the waitress arrived. The several bottles of wine, she placed them on the table, and the group recognized them as expensive. The red hat asked how much they cost, and the waitress and 120,000. The guy in a suit asked why she was serving that if no one ordered it. She explained that the girl's boyfriend had ordered it before leaving and asked if it could be cancelled. Looking at the girls, the guy thought they weren't worth that much money. The witcher said they had already opened the bottles, said they couldn't cancel the order. Yan, flaunting his wealth, said was fine, and he would pay the bill. The girl next to him as how many rides you need to pay for something like that. Sometime later the restaurant manager came in asking what was going on with the return wine bottles. That's when he recognized the ancient. He's one of the new shareholders of the place. He approached Yang asking if he was enjoying the food, and Yang said it was okay. The classmates were now confused about why the manager was being so polite. The manager turns the waitress and ordered her to bring more food and wine. The girl with white hair begged him not to do that because no one could afford it. Embarrassed, the waiter said it was their greatest honor to serve anything to Mr. Yan. Our boy thanked them and asked them to leave and get back to work. He noticed everyone was silent and told them to continue eating. The girl with white hair said the owner was being strangely polite, and the redhead wanted to know how Yan knew him. Our boy explained that he just has some shares in the place. The guy in a suit asks how he has shares in such an expensive place if he works as an Uber driver. Yan says he is a lucky guy, and that his father I let him a good amount of money. At that moment the girl from before says that she was very immature and wants to apologize to him. He smiles, saying that before she seemed so confident when she was trying to humiliate him. Crying, she says she regretted and asked for forgiveness. Suddenly the hotel manager enters with the girl's ex-boyfriend, saying he was looking for the protagonist. The fool is on what his relationship with those police. He gets slapped by the owner, who tells him to respect the biggest shareholder. The fool was completely confused, wondering since when this was possible. He turns to his ex-girlfriend and apologizes, but she just tells him to disappear. Galaxy's phone and remember seeing as a date with Vienna FX to restaurant manager, who says our boy's always welcome. Immediately he leaves and closes the door. The school full stay there talking without knowing what to say. The girls break the ice, saying they didn't expect Yan to be like this. The redhead says she really underestimated the boy's potential, and now the crazy ex-girlfriend says she will lose him to those two. Our boy goes to the date of room 318. He opens the door and tells she looks wonderful. He explains that unfortunate he had to come in casual clothes because he couldn't change. The art girl says he doesn't need to dress up because he has a well-defined body. With that the meal is served night on, is just thinking that if she had to buy all that it would cost about 300,000. Then our boy gets a message from the girl he turned down saying she wants to buy something for him today. She is motivated, thinking that if he gives her a chance she'll become a each wife. The next day, he wakes up exhausted in bed, not knowing what happened. The people from the beginning we set up to run the office say that almost everything is ready. The girl he put in the former boss's position says everything will start tomorrow. Our boy looks out the window and says today's weather is perfect for working as an Uber driver. As soon as he parks the first passenger, says he was too late. He apologizes, saying he encountered construction on the way. She gets in and tells him to get to the train 30 minutes. He looks at the app and says it's impossible, suggesting she was scheduled with a woman. Says she found out her husband is with another woman home, so she needs to get there quickly. Our boy just says she should have called an Uber earlier. The crazy lady called the train station asking them to wait a bit because she is arriving. Our boy already realizes she has a screw loose. She views of razor. She realizes of course they will wait for her when they arrive. Or boy tells her she can get out, but she says the service was terrible and she will definitely a bad review with that. She runs to not miss the train. At that moment Yan gets a message from Zhao Yun saying she needs help. He speeds up telling her central location, while later he arrives at The university of the phone obviously indicates he received a bad review. The system girl congratulate him and says you will finally get the sports car he desires. Our boy's excited saying his Uber will finally be one the fastest. The only strange thing is that this time the system gave him the key but didn't say where the car is. He sees some girls nearby talking about extremely expensive car. Our boy up Eroch is impressed by something called Bronco. A shiny guy asks if he likes the color. Young compliments, saying it's not worth 45 million for nothing. With that, the guy tells a car owner there's certain persons coming. He goes that protagonist in says he will give him $100 if he holds a banner. He calls another ball guy, makes the same offer. Like an idiot, he drops his backpack to show he has a lot of money. The people are impressed, but Yan doesn't seem to care much. He takes a note and offers it to our boy, who says he doesn't find that kind of offer appropriate. The guy asks if he thinks it's too little and says you can pay more. The guy was going to get the money, also ask for help, and that way they divide the amount. They stretch the banner that says he likes it as our Yan and asked her to be his girlfriend. The boys they're holy the bouquet, thinking he's about to conquer. My god, I didn't remember. She looks like she's 13 years old. This guy needs to be arrested. Now she runs away, and the girl next her tells her it's dangerous to get involved with that kind of man. The bucket full is confident his strategy worked. He turns the protagonist and asked if he learned how to win a woman in this world. However, he's completely ignored, and she goes to talk to our boy. As she asked what he is doing, a response that he earned a few dollars to hold that banner. Confused, the guy asks if they know each other, and our board explains that he was once for Uber driver. The guy relaxes, saying it seems that others to it he didn't, drops his knees and offers the bouquet, asking her to be his girlfriend. It seems like he wants to go to jail. Thankfully, to grow refuses, saying that been with him never. Across her mind, the poor guy's rejected right in the middle. He stands up asking if she doesn't like him, and she confirms. He starts shouting, asking if he isn't handsome, rich, or at least good enough for her saviors, that she just doesn't like him. With that, she runs the protagonist, apparently wanting to get our voice, and to jail. The rich kid starts pointing, telling her to stop getting close to that loser. He is close to you, Han, and tells him not to get involved with XY. You or his life will be difficult in the city. Young Justice City is really trying to threaten him. The guy says yes and questions where he will do about it. At that moment, Young receives a message from the system that provides the license plate number of the car he won. As soon as he sees it, he says he understands everything. He looks at the car, saying that the license plate looks very familiar. The rich kid tells him to stop messing around, saying the car costs 40 million yuan. Asked if the car belongs to the four, he knows it doesn't, but decide that since there are no other rich people around, you can flaunt it. Even says of course at his, and tells him not to come near it. However, some in the car starts. Yan says he didn't see the guy take out the key, so how did that happen? The guy points at him, then saying it's really not his, but you sure it's not games either? Then our boy goes to the handle, gets into the car, and sits down calmly. The guy tells him that if the owner finds out, he's in trouble. Thank goodness that when Jo Young was about to get in the car, she suggested calling her friend to try it out. With that, she saved our boy from eternal jail. She got in all embarrassed, saying she could just call a taxi and it would be fine. However, this protagonist seems very eager to go to jail because he didn't like the switch. He turned off the car and told her to get out, actually call a taxi, because it wouldn't work with just the two of them there. With that, he left the fools and went away. Some time later, at a restaurant where they had arranged to meet, the rich kid followed the girls like a psychopath, and now the three of them were there. The only problem with that, Jo Young couldn't find the protagonist. The guy wouldn't stop pestering her, so she told him to get lost, as she had no interest in him. At that moment, the rich kid's sister appeared, saying she went to see who was disrespecting her brother, seeking Zhao Yun. She says she thought too highly of herself for rejecting his offer. However, Jo Yun pointed out that her brother had no qualities other than coming from a good family. The sisters I realized she couldn't argue with that. At that moment, he asked about a car, and she said it was right over there. They looked over and saw the protagonist's car, but no one knew where he was. Some time later, he arrived and asked why everyone's outside. He solving show and said he was very persistent to follow the girl here. The guy pointed our boy and said the car belonged to you, Chain, and he was just fooling everyone. Our protagonist was confused, wanting to know who the guy was. The sister, who had proportions that defied biological logic, said it was impossible for him to have that car. Will be an Uber driver. Being Chain told her not to mind his business too much and to raise her brother better. At that moment, they called security, saying he was causing too much trouble there. When the guys are surrounded him, someone appeared and told everyone to see he's still there. Was another suited man. Asked again was hurt. He said he was fine, and asked for guy was the main. Explained that he was the manager of Barking Restaurant. With that, the people were confused as to why the manager of that place was treating Yun so well. The sister approached the guy in question, who that person was, and why he was being so polite. The guy just told her to pay attention to what she was doing because that was one of the new major shareholders with that the one-way ticket to jail was impressed. She asked if that car really belonged to him, and of course our boy confirmed it. She then turned to the rich kid's sister, told her to realize that her brother was embarrassing compared to young she curfews as the manager. If that was really true, the guy told her that apparently she had no skills to work in these places and advised her to forget about the recommendations they were going to make for her. With that, she turned and slapped her brother, saying that bastard, and caused all this before was wondering why he was getting beaten by his sister. At that moment she grabbed him by the neck, took him to Yan and told him to kneel and apologize. The boy wasn't very willing and said she was treating him like this only because of this situation. She told him to shut up and apologize before thing. Worse, however, he didn't want to hear and picked up a rock from the ground. Angrily he started approaching our boy's car. His sister begged the security guards to stop him before he destroyed the family, but the boy with a rock on his hands hit the like in this video. The helps Memorial make more juicy content for his viewers. Activate the cheeky little bell and I'm out. Thank you for being with me until this video. For more videos, please subscribe to the channel. Bye for now.